Welcome to SHA, the Sound Healers Association, founded by Jonathan Goldman in 1982, bringing education and awareness of the use of sound and music for healing and transformation. SHA features presentations by founding pioneers in the modern sound healing field, and we have a sound healing directory allowing you to list your work or find practitioners and teachers. There's a monthly online meeting, a blog, a vast resource of articles, and much more. SHA, the Sound Healers Association, is dedicated to bringing harmony to the world of sound.
Okay, here we go, and we're jumping in now. And again, I'm Steve Farrell with Humanities Team. I'm here in Boulder, Colorado. I live near my dear friend Jonathan Goldman and his wife Andi, and it's my pleasure to be here just to introduce Jonathan and Andi as this program starts. So, and of course, this is a Satsang, and it's a monthly program now that Humanities Team is really grateful to be producing each and every month with Jonathan and Andi. So thanks for being with us. I think you're going to have a fantastic time. Let me just want to read a brief introduction here as we get started. So Jonathan and Andi Goldman are a powerful pair in the world of conscious living and sound healing. Jonathan is an internationally recognized authority, pioneer, and author in sound healing. Andi is a licensed psychotherapist who utilizes holistic treatment and sound healing. Both are highly respected leaders in the sound healing and spiritual music community. Andi and Jonathan have co-written 2 books together, Chakra Frequencies and The Humming Effect. And again, I'll just share, when we came out a moment ago, Jonathan and I were sharing that sound healing is really taking off as it should, because it is, as we're creating conscious living in the world, sound healing is a big role. It's an incredibly useful device. And you're looking at the man here, Jonathan Goldman, who got this whole thing started, was called to it at an early age, and hooray, thank God he was, because look where sound healing is today. And my pleasure, Jonathan, to turn this over to you.
Thank you, Steve, and everyone.
Oh, Steve, thank you for that beautiful introduction. And of course, we want to thank Humanities Team and Garth and Sound Healers Association and Healing Sounds. And we are delighted to be here for our monthly Sound Satsang.
It's a real blessing to have everyone here. We are just so delighted to have this monthly community of sharing information, doing sound together, shifting and changing the frequency level on our planet with light and love. So thank you so much for being part of it. And we're both really excited about tonight.
So welcome everyone, and I'd love to give just a brief overview what we're going to be covering tonight. Our main topic is going to be mantras. We're going to delve deeply into the subject of mantras. Jonathan has created a short video with beautiful visuals that will combine mantras from different traditions. We'll be playing that sort of midway through. We will, of course, have our global guided sound healing meditation. I'll be giving a brief overview of the astrological influences. So we have a lot to jump into tonight.
Totally, a whole lot. It's really exciting.
Yeah. So it's interesting because we were putting together our program for tonight, mantras. You know, we started really sort of sifting through our information, and, you know, there's so many questions, you know, like, first of all, what the heck is a mantra?
What the heck is a mantra?
And which we probably all know. But anyway, what's the purpose of mantra? Does the language, you know, there's so many mantras from so many different traditions, Hindu, Tibetan, Hebrew, with different languages. And is the pronunciation important? Does that matter? What is the meaning of the mantra that we might be reciting? Does it need to be spoken out loud? Do we say it internally, silently? What is the science behind mantra? So there's just to name a few of the things we want to touch on tonight. So with that being said, of course, we're ready to just jump into what the heck is a mantra, Jonathan?
What the heck is a mantra? Okay, so before we actually try to answer that, I'm going to say that right now, the term mantra is a global term that we see and use all the time, to the degree that, you can see in for example, a TV sitcom, somebody will say, your mantra is don't forget to lock the back door or something like that. It's used colloquially that way. But I was, as Andy and I were going through this, I remembered back in the 1960s, how at the time, the concept of mantra was really basically unknown, just as the concept of yoga was basically unknown. And I think it was mostly the Beatles, when they first went over to India and began to bring some awareness of the idea of meditation and mantra, or as they say, mantra. And so, the pronunciation there is even a little bit slightly different, but they came over, a lot of then the Eastern gurus came over, and for the first time introduced the concept of mantra to us.
Right. And just, to give a meaning, a definition of mantra that's very simple, it's really simply a word or words of power. And of course, it originated in India, which is probably why, it was brought to us from the Beatles' sojourn in India.
And just on a level, the actual term mantra basically is a Sanskrit term, and it translates as the thoughts that liberate from samsara, or the thoughts that liberate and protect. Because of course, Sanskrit is a multi-dimensional language with so many meanings to any particular syllable, sound, or whatnot. So you can have a dozen different meanings even for the word mantra.
And a mantra, being a word of power or words of power, can be simply one syllable word. It can be 100 syllables. It just really varies. But one of the important aspects of mantra is that it is a word or phrase that is repeated over and over. The repetition is a real key factor in reciting mantras, because it's that repetition that, kind of goes in there and helps take our monkey mind out of the way and helps us to go beneath the noise and the chatter that we're constantly dealing with in our own minds. So it does help us get out of our mind.
Totally. And, I think the great gurus and sages of India would have been in agreement that everything is in a state of vibration. And that because of that, mantras are very specific, sacred, sonic formulas that really help repattern us, help create, all the different mantras have specific purposes. And, oftentimes, the use of mantra is done for many different purposes, but ultimately we can perceive of them, mantras, almost as being magic words on a level as well. And they come from, as we began to incorporate the concept of repeating either a word or a phrase or a sentence or even a liturgical text over and over again, we began to realize that this wasn't really unique to either India or Tibet or any of those nations and states, but was found throughout our planet.
And so let's jump into the purpose of a mantra. Are we ready for that, Jonathan?
No, I'm gonna jump back into saying that if you think about it, almost every tradition uses some form of repetitive chant, statement, or word to, if you like, unite with the divine. Whether, like in the Hebrew tradition, it's called davening, and in the Arabic tradition, it's called zikr. But this type of thing goes on in the Native American traditions where they're chanting. In the African traditions, in the Christian traditions, there are Latin mantras. There are all sorts of different words of power that are found all over and interrelated, whether it's the Amen, Alleluia, Aloha, etc. All these different words are found all over the place, and they are sacred words that are repeated. And I think one of the things about repeating the sacred word is that you begin to set up a vibratory pattern that goes on. We continue in that. As we know people who literally will be chanting a mantra for as long as they're awake, whether it's aloud or whispered silently.
Well, there's a vibration that is formed when we're chanting a mantra, and there's a wavelength that begins to take form, and as we're chanting it, then we can tap into that and embody that. For instance, if you are sounding forth with a mantra for a particular deity, such as for instance, the Avalokitesvara in the Tibetan tradition is the deity of compassion. And so if we chant, Om Mane Padme Hum, that is the chant of the Avalokitesvara. So we are chanting to bring the vibration of compassion into our vibration, and then we can send that out onto the planet. So one of the main purposes of chanting a mantra is to embody whatever that mantra might mean.
Right. I like to think sometimes that it is useful for sure of invoking an energy form. It's almost as though we are a tuning fork when we're vibrating and resonating, and at the same sort of frequency or high level of some sort of deity or somewhat, to basically resonate and vibrate at a similar waveform pattern as many different things. And this does bring us into the concept of what is the purpose for a mantra. Why would somebody chant a mantra?
Yeah. Well, as I was just saying, it is to embody a particular quality, such as compassion, some kind of healing. I know I gave the example of the Avalokitesvara, but what's interesting is that Jonathan and I, facilitated a healing sounds intensive for 21 years. They were 10 days long, and each evening we would gather the group and we would teach a particular mantra dedicated to a particular quality, such as compassion and the Avalokitesvara, such as Manjushri, to cut away any thing that is not serving us for our highest good, to Tara for healing. So the purpose of a mantra is really depends on who you are, where you are, what you want to do.
But I would say one of them is certainly to invoke and embody an aspect of a particular deity or any energy form. Another one would be just, there are mantras in various traditions for whether it's good luck, new beginnings of things, to purify yourself. And oftentimes, of course, these are interrelated. If you want to purify yourself, and you might call upon an entity to do that, but a part of that is your purpose and, wealth, new beginnings, abundance. These are very, very big in a lot of different traditions. And also, there is that aspect of chanting a mantra in order to gain cities or powers, miraculous powers. People have done that too. Basically, whether it's levitation or dematerialization or whatnot. And I think that something very, very important is that the concept of working with mantra is that it's cumulative. You want to basically do it consistently and for a while.
Well, the more that you repeat the mantra, the more you're going to produce the sound vibration, and the more recitation happens, the more you're going to be able to embody the particular meaning of the mantra.
Indeed, the more recitation. Yes, indeed. Well, I mean, when we would do our one of our chants at the Healing Sounds Intensive, and we would probably spend the first 5 or 10 minutes talking about the deity, if it was a deity that we were working with, or talking about an attribute that the deity was said to, you know, convey and help manifest. So indeed, if we were talking about wisdom, the concept of wisdom, wiseness, and being called Manjushri, and we'd basically talk about what does divine wisdom mean to you, or if we were dealing with compassion,
what does compassion mean to you? And
and then we'd chant this for a half hour, and then at the end we'd be in silence. And as always, that area of being in silence, really, where whether you're doing it vocally, singing it, or just thinking it, all of a sudden being in silence and letting the energy of the sound, releasing it. Because I've often thought that on a level, as you are chanting something over and over, you are grounded to the, there's an aspect of the physicality, because you're grounded, because you're making the sound over and over, even if it's a hypnotic thing and you stop it and all of a sudden you go, you know, go out of your body or whatnot, because you're in that state of silence.
Right. And, you know, and I'm even thinking too, you know, we are talking about, you know, different chants to different deities. You can even, we have an exercise called vowels as mantra, and we would chant a particular vowel for each of the 7 chakras and balance and align our chakras through mantra.
Well, I mean, the idea of single syllables balancing the chakras is found in the Bij mantra system. These are, of which Om is one of the them. And the Ah sound is also a seed syllable that is also a vowel sound. So they're really interrelated. And as we were saying before, you can have single syllable sounds that you can chant repetitively. Some of them will have a meaning, some of them will not. We can talk about this in a minute, but just the idea too. Or you can have 100-syllabled ones, or even more, depending upon, you know, I guess you can be reading it and read it repetitively. A lot of times people like to have the stuff in their memory banks to do, but these are all, once again, vibratory waveforms that we resonate with.
Yeah. Well, and people have often asked, is it important to pronounce the mantra correctly? Now, what I want to say about that is, indeed, there are some traditions who do insist on the correct pronunciation. And there are some traditions that do not insist on the correct pronunciation. So we honor them both. If you're from a tradition where that recitation has got to be absolutely correctly done, then you do it. Now, in terms of our beliefs around it, we have never insisted that the actual pronunciation be spot on correct, because we've often thought, or I've often thought, that, you know, if you're in this chant and you're going into a meditation and all of a sudden you're trying to remember now, what was that? Padme home? You know, you're going to pull yourself out of the precise reason we're chanting in the first place, which is to go into those deeper states and those higher states of consciousness.
You know, I remember one of the first books that I read on mantras, which was a scholarly text by a guy by the name of John Blofeld, simply called Mantras. And he had traveled all around. He was some professor at some university. and he was talking about the fact that he had a chapter on the correct pronunciation of Om. And he talked about the fact that depending upon what part of India or Tibet or Nepal that you're in, the dialect, etc., you're going to pronounce it Om, Ong, Ong, Ong. And there were a number of different ways. And then very recently, I was on the internet, and I basically watched about a half a dozen different videos from different Hindu gurus, Sanskrit scholars, etc., on the pronunciation of the Om. And they were all very adamant that their way of pronunciation was the correct way, but they weren't necessarily in alignment. Some were Om, some were Om, and one can go on and on. But it was just very, very interesting that even though everybody was like, this is the only way to do it, it will not have power if you do not do it the way that I teach you, they weren't necessarily all together. I wonder how that was.
Well, and Jonathan, that just kind of wants me to sort of circle around to intention.
Yes.
Because, of course, your frequency, your formula, frequency plus intent equals healing. And so when we are chanting a mantra, I think that our intention, what is the reason? Why are we choosing to chant that particular mantra to honor that particular quality or that particular deity? So the intention is really quite key.
Oh, I think it really, from our perspective, is, and I know that we were asking our dear Tibetan chant master friend Lama Tashi what he thought, how important was it, and he just seemed to feel that it was the energy that you had beside the chanting that was really most important, which reminds me of an old story, and I have to tell you this one. This is where I put on my Lenny Bruce hat and pretend like I have a microphone in my hand, and I say, so these two monks, one of them was a high Rinpoche, and the other one is a Chela, is a student. And the Rinpoche, the master, is rowing out to an island to check on his student who he's given a mantra to about a week before, and the student is to chant the mantra continuously in order to get some sort of great city, some sort of great power of enlightenment. And he gets out to the island and he goes up to the student and says, let me hear you chant it. And the student does the chant from him. He goes, no, it's all wrong. He starts correcting him. He says, all right, I'll be back in a week. Maybe you get it right by then. He's rowing back. And after about a half hour, all of a sudden he turns around and hears his name being called, and it's the student running on the water. He's running on the water and he's going, Master, I forgot how to pronounce my mantra, which on a level as a story just talks about and there are many different stories like that about the fact that from a lot of different traditions, it is more the heart and consciousness that you project onto the sound than the exact specific, if you like, recitation of the mantra. So, one thought.
And Jonathan, I think that that's a beautiful lead in to talk a moment about the short video that you have prepared, especially for tonight.
Right.
And you want
Thank
to
you.
talk
So
about
in
that.
honor of tonight, I made a video that was actually, that features if you like, a track from the recording The Lost Chord, which is an award-winning 2000 recording, which featured chants from the Hindu, Tibetan, Hebrew, Christian, all these different traditions. And this particular chant focuses on the energy of the heart, and compassion, because we're big into that one, but it also has divine God and goddess names and angelic names from all different traditions. And I will just share with you that it's been my real understanding that the sacred sounds on our planet really can live very nicely with each other. They are not in competition with each other. They are not at all out of resonance with each other, because they are sacred and they can be in different languages. And this recording has probably 30 or 40 different sacred chant masters from throughout the planet, recording all these different sounds. And I think you'll really enjoy it. And just before we put this on, kudos to Donald Beeman, the guy who basically did the incredible cover artwork. And what we're going to be seeing, if you watch this, if you have your eyes open, you'll see this wonderful artwork, which is the front and back cover, which features the divine masculine, the divine feminine, goddess, God, the tree of life, and the chakra system all together. So I think you'll find it's a very brief 4-minute video, but I think you'll enjoy it a whole lot. So with that in mind, Garth, please take it away. Everyone, enjoy yourself.
Enjoy.
There we go. I trust you all enjoyed that as much as we did. In fact, we were in a moment of silent awe after that. And Donald Beeman's artwork is just incredible.
It's
Oh my
amazing.
God.
And you know that from the Lost Chord, I have not heard that particular cut for quite a while, and it just touches me.
Yeah.
It just really
You know,
touches my heart.
so
Yeah.
anyway, we trust that you appreciated that. And it is now time for us to go into the cosmos. We're always in the cosmos, but it's into the cosmos to find out, Andy, what's happening on our
Well,
astrological assessment. It's you know, it's a month later, and what's been going on?
well, I love to just take a brief moment to talk about the astrological energies that are happening because we're all feeling those energies, and of course, the intensity that we have been feeling has been enormous, and the challenges that people have been experiencing. When you look at the energies astrologically, as an astrologer, I can go, well, no wonder everyone, is feeling like that, because right now we are still very much in the potent eclipse cycle. We had a solar eclipse in Aries on April 19th, which was really a dynamic energy, lots of fire and energy like that. And then just recently, May 5th, we had a lunar eclipse in Scorpio. So we have had quite a bit of intense energy and profound energies, though, of healing and transformation. So what I want you to do is trust what you have been moving through, because I think we can all say, whoa, we've been buckled up here for quite a while, but trust it, because we are in sync with the divine energies of the cosmos. And so with the intense energy that we've had, I do have some good news on the in the telling of the astrological energies. Just on Friday, just this past Friday, we had a new moon. And of course, new moons are always beautiful times to initiate new beginnings, new cycles begin, setting new intentions. Now, this particular new moon was in the sign of Taurus. Now, the Taurus energy is very, very different from the energy I've just been talking about. It's much slower moving. It's a quieter energy, and it's a feminine energy. There's more of a gentle energy. There's just more of a feeling of security and stability. That is the Taurus energy. And the reason I'm emphasizing that is because not only did we have our new moon in Taurus on Friday, when that happened, we actually had 5 planets in the sign of Taurus. So that energy that's a little bit more gentle is coming in. And with that Taurus energy, we had the planet Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion. So wherever it touches, it will expand. And it just entered the sign of Taurus, where it will be for a year. Pluto changes signs once a year. So we have not seen Taurus energy in Jupiter since, for quite a long time ago. So at any rate, it's interesting because when I think about the Taurus energy, and I think about it is sort of a softer energy, but it's also ruled by the planet Venus. And so Venus is about love, and it's about beauty. And, we may have all this really intense, challenging stuff going on, but you know what? We also have the love and the beauty of now the Taurus energy coming in. And, it's almost like it's a great time to just unplug and go out and breathe in nature. You know, Taurus is an earth sign and is really calling us to be out in nature. And, you know, it's interesting because I have got these astrological cards with each of the signs and depicted on each card. Well, the one for Taurus was one of my favorites because it was Ferdinand the bull, Ferdinand out in the field, just lazily laying there. He had a wreath of flowers around his neck, and he was just enjoying life and just enjoying being out there in nature. So I would encourage everyone to lean toward good old Ferdinand out in the field energy. And, you know, when you have those tougher moments coming in, just remember that we have choices that we can make. And I would just encourage everyone to lean toward those more positive choices and the ones of love and beauty and all of those qualities of Taurus.
Beautiful. Wow. That was great, my dear. And now it is, folks, coming up time for our monthly planetary sound healing. And I just want to say that, you know, once a year we do the World Sound Healing Day, where people get together throughout the planet to project a positive healing sound to the planet. And we do it also, this is on a level, our mini World Sound Healing Day. This is a, you know, if you like, mini World Sound Healing event where we're going to be basically working with the Om sound, which is a mantra, of course. And the idea is that, and we haven't talked, and we're going to talk later about that, the idea of how to empower a mantra with the greatest aspect of its essence, because Om by itself is a wonderful sound, wonderful energy form, but then you begin to couple it. And with this one, of course, we do the heart-brain coherence, which causes our electromagnetic field to become greater. And then we project the energy of literally, you know, the intention and the visualization of doing healing. And that does make a difference. That does make a difference. So I just have to tell you that when we do these little events every month, it makes a difference in interconnecting and healing and raising the vibratory field of our beloved Earth. So I want to thank you in advance. And so don't forget to Om along with us. We're going to be doing 9 Oms.
I was just going to say, when we get to the part where we say, now let us begin to Om together, please, wherever you are, whomever you're with, out loud, chant that Om with us and set that intention of opening up your heart and bringing in the beauty and the love that's always available to us. We just have to sort of, you know, twist our focus just a little bit and say, hey, I'm going to bring in all the positive stuff. So you can set that intention for yourself, and you can Om with us, holding that intention.
Chant along with us. We'll be chanting along with this wonderful video, which has got just like great psychoacoustic sounds. And we'll see you after it is done. So thank you. We always feel the difference in energy every month with everybody, because we're interconnected on a very, very deep and powerful etheric field. So we look forward to this.
Yeah, so enjoy this next portion of our program. We'll be back right after it and continue on for the rest of the evening. So we'll see you in just a moment. Enjoy. The purpose for this meditation is to project a sound encoded with the energies of light and love, and project healing to the Gaia matrix, our beloved planet Earth. We will first create coherence between our heart and our brain. This effect will further be amplified by the power of the Om that you will be toning along with later, bringing more light and love into your body, mind, and spirit for health and wellness. And now, begin to focus on your breathing. Breathing in and breathing out. Slowly breathing in and out. And as you're breathing in and out, imagine or visualize that you're breathing in and out through your heart. As you're breathing in and out through the area of your heart, remembering that it is love that breathes each breath, and it is love that causes each beat of our heart. Continue breathing slowly, breathing in and out in this manner. And now, I'd like you to call to mind something that has brought you a great deal of appreciation, gratitude, something that you are feeling very good about. This might be an experience with another person. Perhaps it's a beautiful sunset. It may be a beloved pet, a spouse. But it is something that has brought you loving kindness and gratitude and appreciation. And as you're breathing in and out through your heart, feeling this appreciation, feeling this gratitude, you're creating a beautiful coherence between your heart and your brain. And your heart, through this coherence, is expanding, getting larger and larger, and connecting with all the heart and loving energy on our planet in this moment. This is just a wonderful way of creating a very powerful heart activation, and you'll be amplifying this with the sound of the Om. Continue breathing slowly and deeply while feeling appreciation and gratitude, and imagining your breath going in and out through your heart. Now, visualize this energy and begin to sense a radiant light around you that is permeating every cell of your body and resonating your heart chakra. In a moment, we'll begin to gently sound forth with the power of the Om. And as you do this, visualize the planet Earth as a holographic image floating in front of you. Imagine bathing the Earth in a healing field of light and love that you are creating through your sacred sound. Now, let us begin to make the heart sound of the Om, bringing the energy of global harmonization, peace, and healing to our beloved planet, Earth. one last time. Now, being in silence, visualizing all the light and love through sound that you have manifested, resonating and bringing to earth and yourself to a deep state of healing. And when you feel ready, open your eyes and know that you have contributed to personal and planetary healing. We are back.
Well, my friends, thank you. That felt really good. I hope that you felt as good as we did. That was a really, really powerful experience.
Well, speaking of mantras, I could feel the vibrations, the wavelength of the love, really embodying it in my heart.
And we encoded that Om with a whole lot of different things. Personal healing, the going down toward us on a cellular level, and yet at the same time going out to the planet. And I think this is also one of the wondrous things is that mantras also by their nature are multidimensional. They're not necessarily just one thing. They can be many things. I was thinking also as we were chanting this particular, if you like, energy form does the Om 9 times. And it's oftentimes suggested that the ideal time for chanting an Om is 108 times. But I was thinking, wow, 9 times 12 is 108. So it is, if you like, an offshoot of that. And that's something that, it seems like we have, as always, we're not going to be able to get through all the stuff we want to do. And I thought mantras are so important that we would probably continue this on in our next session. And one of the things we really want to talk about for the next one is not only the science behind mantras, which is really huge, but, all sorts of other aspects of interesting things like what is the difference between mantra chanting and kirtan?
And what is the difference between a mantra and affirmations?
Indeed.
That's a question that we do really get a lot. So we'll have to cover some of that in our next satsang.
Right. And I want to remind you that if you have any questions, particularly about anything that's gone down here, we're really just the way we operate. We're unable to take live questions. But if you send us a question or any sort of comments about what's going on at info@healingsounds.com, that's info@healingsounds.com, we'd love to get it, because we really, really appreciate feedback. We basically do this as a service to assist the planet and anyone who can, resonate with what we're doing.
And Jonathan, just to sort of in a way recap, I want to share with our audience the words of Swami Satchidananda, who we have often taught at his ashram, and of course he's no longer on the planet, but I wrote these words down that he said because I wanted to share them tonight. And he says, a mantra has its own special vibration. And by developing that vibration in yourself, you are developing a certain kind of wavelength, and you will be able to attract that special kind of wavelength from the cosmos. And so as we are thinking about mantras and, working with them in our own lives, it really is that resonance and that vibration with these higher aspects of the human spirit that we can begin to vibrate in through mantras.
Yes. And so listen, join us next time, which is going to be June 21st. It's going to be our year anniversary of the Sound Satsang. And we're very excited to be doing this sacred sonic celebration with you all. So we'll be doing some more stuff about mantras, because we just, on a level, mantra was my first area of study when I began researching the whole field of sound healing. And it's immense. And they are words of power. They initially perceived it as coming from the Eastern traditions, but that is like, the word mantra is now an umbrella for all sorts of sacred sound that is used. And we're learning more and more how to use these sacred sounds to assist our body, mind, and spirit, and activate together, co-creating a new reality of being. So I want to thank you so very much for joining us. And so tune in. We're going to have a summer solstice yearly anniversary
A gala.
Right.
Yeah.
Extravaganza with you. And just also let us know what we can do that will be of greatest assistance to you in your work. And we will do our best to do that with you.
And so it has just been our joy to be here with you tonight. And we wish that we could see everyone and get feedback, but we're just sending out our hearts to each of you and really appreciate you being here with us. And I want to also take this moment to say a very special thank you to Nasiri Suzanne, who is our Sound Healers Association director, managing director. And any questions that you might have about the organization, please, she's happy to communicate with you. And I want to say a special thank you to Alex Sims, who is our Healing Sounds Managing Director, and of course to Humanity's team for sponsoring us, and to Garth, the man behind that curtain. So thank you to everyone. And we will look very forward to our solstice yearly celebration and our anniversary of having done a satsang through Humanity's team for a complete year.
So that'll be on Wednesday, June 21st, as far as we know, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, 6 p.m. Pacific, and it should be just a grand old gala extravaganza. And with regard to mantra, I'm sure that many of you work with mantra already, and if not, great thing. There's so much more to cover, and I don't want to get started now, but I can't wait to next month to just dive deeper into the resonant vibratory field of these words of power that are found in all the different traditions. Why? How?
There's much more to explore, and we shall do that for sure. So just really want to send out blessings of love and
Right.
light through sound to everyone. I know we heal the planet,
We heal ourselves.
we heal ourselves.
We heal the planet. We have a
So,
choice. We can make a difference. See you next month now.
thanks for being here.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.